Right, we are back, and of course, as we promised, we are going to have such a wonderful conversation, being that this is in fact the HIV Awareness Month. So definitely we cannot have enough of these conversations, and we have covered a story, someone who came through and told us their journey, that they are indeed thriving, not just surviving, even with HIV, and they're doing well. And now today we're going to have a health practitioner who is going to open our eyes even to more of the same. We are going to address some of the key issues that maybe you could be asking yourself regarding this particular topic, and you can send in any questions that you could be having through our WhatsApp number, that is 0708 222 and pale kwenye YouTube, you know how we do it. You guys can follow up through with the program, because we will be live, and also comment down below. Any comments, we will be looking at them and reading them right here. Any feedback that you may have, please do send it our way. And without much further ado, allow me to welcome our guest of the day today. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, thank you.
Karibu sana. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Awesome. And maybe now you can introduce yourself to our viewers. Let them know who this wonderful, beautiful lady is.
Wow. My name is Janet.
Yes.
I work with the Untold organization. Untold is an organization that started in Kenya in 2008.
Yes.
And currently we're in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and South Africa. So Untold is a Christian organization.
Okay.
We support and work with people living with HIV and AIDS. We have around 109 centers, and all our centers are in the most vulnerable societies. So name any slum in Nairobi, we are there.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And we love working with those that are most vulnerable, because they're the ones that have lost hope, they've been marginalized, they're facing stigma, and we bring them. We believe in supporting people living with HIV and giving them hope. And through this is by embracing them first and showing them love. And then we equip them so that they're able to live a life beyond HIV and AIDS. Because HIV is just a status, shouldn't be a place where it should make you feel you are less of a human and you cannot achieve your dreams or your goals in life. So we have 4 transformational areas that we work with. Number 1 being the physical well-being, where we support with medication, so that we ensure that people are taking their medication. If they are sick, we support them with hospital bills. We give them, we support them with investigations. We ensure they get the right treatment. If it's a pregnant mother, they deliver in hospitals so that they don't deliver at home. And then we also look at spiritual hope. So we evangelize to them, even as we follow them up. And we show them that there is life beyond HIV. You can have a hope. You can still trust in God. You can have a family. And with that, then they're able to restore their hope and build their dreams again. And then we also look at the emotional and psychological aspect. So we do one-on-one counseling, the group therapy sessions, so that they're able to know they're not alone. There are people who have gone ahead of them and they have succeeded, and they can share the experiences.
Yes.
Then we're also able to give them economic empowerment, so that by the end of the day, we don't do this much, then they're still dependent. They can't support their families, they cannot take their children to school. So we give them skills where they can start businesses as individuals. Or if they the groups that they form, we support them to register. And then they can get loans from the government, from other agencies, and they can start enterprises with them, and they can support themselves. So our 108 centers, I think it's important to say that we have been able to place them in churches. And these are churches that have been able to embrace people living with HIV and AIDS. They've been able to support them. Know that these are people who are part of our society, and it is us as Christians who can bring hope and bring the change that we want to see in the community.
Awesome. That's a good introduction as well to lay the foundation as we start our conversation this morning. And in years gone by, if one was diagnosed to have HIV, it was deemed, or even the person themselves. They thought this is a death sentence.
Yeah.
But listening to you, there is hope. So maybe we can start from the point of someone, an individual, they realize that they have HIV.
Yeah.
How should they deal with it, and where should they start?
I think the first thing, when one is informed or go to the hospital and they are tested and they are told they're HIV positive, the first thing is they are shocked. What is the next thing?
Yeah.
Because the society has already branded HIV like, now that's the end. If you had like a 5-year plan,
Yes.
you start thinking, now my 5-year plan is now going to come to a 1
Yeah.
because of the lack of information.
Okay.
And the most important thing, I think, is accepting yourself. When they accept, then we are sure that the self-stigma that makes you limit yourself will not be there. So you need to accept the status. Then the next thing is, where can I get medication?
Yeah.
Because after the testing, one is told, you need to start you on treatment, we need to start you on follow-up, we need to do this. So immediately that decision, the faster that decision is made, the better, because you are going to ensure that the virus will not progress and you start now taking care of your health. The next thing I think that is very important is to look at who is the next person that can support me, because you need a lot of social support, either from a friend, from a family member. If you're married, your spouse is the best person, so that you can also disclose to them and they also get tested. So it is very important to look at who can support me, so that I'm able to get now the social support, the psychological support, because there are those times you can be sure you get the treatment fatigue. You feel, I don't want to take medication, so whom can I talk to? Or there are those times that you're very sick, or you think, I think I'm reaching my end. You need someone to walk with that journey.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Beautiful. And you know, you had mentioned earlier on that when it comes to the untold stories, there's the focus on Christianity as well.
Yes.
And I understand that some people, in fact, even the story that we covered, the unfortunate ways in which people get infected. Sometimes we have seen people maybe go to the line of even blaming God and feeling like, God, why did you let this happen? So do you have such cases where people are not so receptive to the gospel, even as you're trying to assist them, and how do you navigate through that?
Yeah, when you look at people who have who get HIV and AIDS, especially right now, HIV, the first person was diagnosed in the 80s.
Yeah.
So even the children that got HIV that time, right now they're in their 20s and they're getting into their 30s. So they're like, why did you allow me to get HIV?
Yeah.
Where were you, God? I was not the one to blame.
Yes.
So it is a place where we need to get people to understand that it is not that God hates them. It is not that they're any less of a human being, because some things God allows to happen for the glory of His name. And there's nothing that God allows to happen that is too big or that one cannot overcome.
Yes.
So God allowed it to happen because He had a reason and a purpose. It may not be revealed now, but it will be revealed in the future. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There's something that you have mentioned, Dr. Janet, and I think we would want you to expound some more on the same self-stigma, because the one thing that we know is of the other stigma, so the society, the family members and all, but we have never really looked in details self-stigma and the effects it has on an individual. So if you would expound what it entails and the dangers of self-stigma to an individual, even as they start the journey.
Yeah, so self-stigma is where one thinks, I have HIV. Because of society does not embrace people living with HIV, I cannot talk to anyone. I have children, I have a spouse that I'm living with, I have sisters, or if I'm living with my family, and I'm thinking, I cannot talk to them because in my mind, they're not going to accept me. Or maybe in my thinking, some of the favors that I get or some of the benefits I get from these relationships could be love, could be support, going to school, whatever it is, I will not get them. So the self-stigma is the limitations that one puts on themselves because they've just realized they have HIV and AIDS. And the impact on this is that one is unable to freely interact with the people they live with. And that also brings a gap in the relationship. Because if you look at a family, they're living maybe 5 people, and there's one who's taking medication. That person has to wait until nobody is seeing them to take their medication. And if everybody is always there, that means sometimes you might miss the doses. Sometimes you might be late to take your medication, which affects the outcome of health. And then you look at if that person is married in a relationship, there's also the risk of infecting the other partner. And there are also different strains. The other partner could also be positive, the spouse, maybe the wife or the husband. And there's this risk of giving a different strain. So, and also the person taking medication receiving a different strain. Therefore, they could be taking their medication very well, following up their appointments. They're doing everything on the book, but because they have not disclosed and they're still intimate with their spouse, then they're at a risk of getting what we call a treatment failure because a different strain of the virus will be introduced in their system that will gradually multiply. And I think that there's now the mental aspect. One who has self-stigma, they're not able to freely interact with people. They're not able to reach their full potential, even in the community. Whatever capacity they are at, even if it's a leader, they see that they're not able to lead. If it's a father who's head of a family, they're not sure how long am I going to bring up my children. And so that psychological trauma limits you from attaining your optimum potential.
Absolutely. Wow. And now that even you've brought in the issue of relationships, and I think we can sort of just delve in that a little bit more and maybe talk about the other partner now, because I think also the one who is on the receiving end of this news, this information that maybe my wife is positive and maybe the husband is not positive, how can they support, their spouse in this season? Is there a way in which they are also counseled to know what to do in such situations?
Yes. We have, when one has HIV, they can be in 2 relationships. One is a concordant relationship. This is where they are both positive. So both the husband and the wife, they are positive. So it's very important for them to support each other in terms of taking medication, psychological support, because when you see that there are sometimes when one is getting the treatment fatigue, they don't want to stop taking a medication, the other person comes in to support them. Or maybe they are very sick and they cannot even do the basic things. They're there to support them, and even if they don't do it, they're ensuring that they're able to get that support as long as they're protecting the people again whom they're living with. Could be their children. So because sometimes we talk about disclosing this to your children, but you have to look at the age appropriateness so that you don't tell the 5-year-old mommy is living with HIV and they're like, what is this? And they're going to school to ask the teacher, what is this? So ensure people living with them, they're giving them the support, even if you have not disclosed to them, depending with the appropriateness of the situation. And then we can also have discordant couples where you have a positive partner and a negative partner. So it is very important again for both of them to be on treatment because the negative partner also needs medication so that they prevent themselves from getting infected. And then they also need to continue getting counseling, and the discordant couple will, the negative partner will keep getting testings whether they have HIV that are routine every 3 months. And this is very important for them to go for care together. Because remember again, it's a family, and maybe they have a child and they wanted to have a second child, or maybe a third child. So when they walk this journey together, they'll be able to be counseled on how can they get a child, and at that, a HIV negative child. Because that is very possible today. And therefore we won't have a family breaking because maybe the negative partner wants children and they think, I cannot have children because my partner is positive. But if you get the correct support and follow up, you can still build your family and bring up a family, whether you have children at that point or maybe in future, and your children will be HIV negative.
Doc, if you can help us now go through there are many, but if you could help us go through some of the misconceptions that are there when it comes to HIV and relationships between family members, friends, and an individual who is HIV positive.
I think the number one misconception is people thinking that if I drink from the same cup,
yes,
or use the same spoon, I'm going to get HIV. That is not very true. Because you can be sure we wash our cups, whether it's HIV positive. We even go to hotels and we use cups.
I know,
and we don't know. But you cannot get HIV from using the same cups. The only time you can get HIV by sharing equipment is if they're not cleaned and you find that the person is having sores or wounds in their mouth, and it is direct using I use, you use. So, and the other person also who's HIV negative has also to have like wounds so that they have an entry point.
Right.
So it is okay and it is very safe to share utensils, to share beddings, to share everything in the home, because these are families and you're cleaning them and there's no risk of getting the HIV. The only time there's a risk is if the HIV positive person again has maybe wounds, then the person taking care of them, because sometimes you'll find they're bedridden. They need someone to clean them. They need someone to use a bedpan so that they can maybe help themselves. So that time you need to wear the gloves, and then you have to help them, make sure the bedpans that you're using or the bucket that you'll use at that point, you have disinfected it. But under normal circumstances, we are safe, 100%. Then the other misconception is that if one has HIV, then they're on their road to death.
Yes.
That's a big
So you'll find sometimes children will not be taken to school. Or if they go and disclose to the teachers, they're set aside. They're not going to work very hard in supporting these children. But you'll find actually have a friend who had HIV from their teens. They actually grew up with HIV, and right now she has her own catering business. She has 2 children who are HIV negative, and she has a very supportive husband. So by the fact that there is a positive status on HIV, you can still live your life and achieve. Go to school, do the best, do the masters, do the PhDs. Right now, what causes most of the mortalities is in the people who have late diagnosis. So by the time they are knowing their status, they're very sick. They need to be admitted. They're bedridden. But those that know their status early enough and they start treatment and they get all the support, both the physical, emotional, psychological, and all that, they are able to live to their full potential.
Wow. And I'm also thinking of those who have been diagnosed, even probably from their childhood. And they're growing up and they want to date. They want to get into relationships. And I think this can be a difficult one, and especially even disclosing that to someone maybe you've developed interest in, and the fear of what if I tell them? If I tell them, they will leave. And if I don't tell them, then I'm not doing the right thing. So maybe talk about the dynamics of dating, how someone who is HIV positive should approach the dating scene, and even it leading to marriage, and just that kind of a commitment.
Yeah. I think the easiest one would be where you meet maybe in a clinic, in a support group, you both know each other's status, and you're able to express yourself, and you're able to get support because you're going to the same place there and then. The difficult one comes in, I've seen somebody, I don't know their status, I even don't know if they go to hospital, if they know their status, and here there's somebody who's living positively and they want to approach this person. I think the first thing would be creating a friendship, because and then getting to know this person. I cannot let them commit without me telling them my status. And there are different ways that you can let someone know your status. If you're not able to tell them directly, you're able to tell them, is it okay we both go and know our status in a facility? And then both of you go, you're tested, there's the counselor there, and the counselor will already have given you information. If it is positive, this is what you can do. If it is negative, this is what you can do. If you're both positive, this is the next step. If both of you are negative, I mean, if one of you is positive, the other one is negative, then this is how we can approach it. So you'll have the information and the support, we call it supported disclosure. You're going to have someone to support you. Because it could be, sometimes it's very crushing. You don't know how the other person is going to react. And again, by the time you're going to the session, the counselor will be prepared to say, if you know each other's status, it is not right to go speak about it outside, so that they have prepared you. And then the other thing you look at is when people want to get into a relationship, the church also comes in here because we have our youth groups. How do we educate them? How do we tell them, if you go out there and there's someone who wants to date you, it's very important to know their HIV status. And if you know their HIV status, what are the steps you can take? And as a Christian, what is your role? Because as a Christian, if you know the other person is HIV positive, it is not right to speak them. You may not want to get into that relationship, but it is not okay to go speak it out. So the church again comes in here to support. Yes.
Wow. And I think the church now definitely plays an important aspect. And I see it's 30 minutes past 8. Maybe we can take a breather, take a bit of a break, just try to take in all this information, because it's quite a lot and so important even for our viewers who are watching this morning, just to understand how to also support your family members in case one has been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS. So let's take a short break. We'll be back in a bit.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content, of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. This is Hope at Dawn right here at Hope TV, where you look and you live. Being a Thursday, it's all about relationships, and today it's relationship resonance. And today we are looking at beyond the HIV status, and helping us with this conversation is Dr. Janet Manyara. She is a medical practitioner, and thank you so very much for your time and also for the knowledge that you are imparting this morning. Now, let's talk about healthy relationships and HIV prevention. The role of communication, because communication is paramount, whether negative, whether positive, communication, and also trust in preventing HIV transmission, especially in marriage relationship. How do we go about that?
Communication, as you said, is very, very important, irrespective of the status of either of the partners in the relationship.
Yes.
And this is where you'll find people who are even negative, both of them. They need to keep their communication channels open. And this is how they are going to develop trust, so that nobody will look at the other like, are you planning something?
Yes.
And I'm not sure what you're planning.
Yes.
So they look at each other suspiciously, but if you keep the communication channels open, you're able to know what the other person is thinking, what they're planning, and what they're doing. And very importantly is that we need to speak when in our marriages, because that is how we are going to ensure this faithfulness. You don't have people who think that they're going to speak to other people outside there, who are going to listen to them better. But when you make sure that we are communicating and having dialogues in our unions, then we are going to ensure we even bring the tough topics of faithfulness, which is very key for us to maintain, to prevent the spread of the HIV infection, and also to support in the event that one person is positive and the other one is negative. And then also we have key messages that we give as healthcare providers, especially if you have a positive partner. Sometimes we tell them, go invite your partner, your spouse, so that you come and we give you counseling, we give you information on how you need to do this. Because sometimes some of the things are very difficult, and we have been able to do that because as we give the holistic approach in our organization, you're able to find that some people are shying from talking the deep things with their spouses because they fear, in their mind they're like, how will he react? Is he going to get angry? Is he going to be violent? Is he going to respond this way? But if you come and we give you the counseling, the both of you, then we are able to give you the support in terms of passing the information and also making positive decisions for your family. Because by the end of the day, we don't want to break people from their families, and those that have been set aside want to reintegrate them back to their families and to the community.
And follow up on that, the reason why communication is key, and maybe some don't, and they are not open to sharing, is the fear of stigma. That once I share, now my status will be the talk of town.
Or the talk of the family.
Or the talk of even the family.
The extended family.
Yes. And they fear, because you remember, like the lady we hosted, the only person she confided in was the mom. Because they were afraid that if this one spills out, it will be trouble. So stigma, and I don't know how people can we can be nice, we be good people.
I think it's being intentional that we want to be nice and we will be nice because we want to embrace these people and we don't want them to lose hope.
No.
Because when they lose hope, that's when we hear they suicide, they're using drugs, and we want, as Christians, to bring them to a place where they'll feel they're loved, they're embraced, and we are going to showcase Christ, even as we embrace them, as we walk with them.
And sometimes it's in the name of a prayer item.
Let's pray for sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so.
Especially in the church space, because I feel there are those who have even gone through church hurt because of their status in church. So maybe you can also address that for Christians. Let's not make this, it's good to pray, but now making it a prayer item, we are telling people, but we are in fact gossiping in the name of saying, let's pray for sister so-and-so. So maybe also address that.
I think it's creating awareness even in our churches, so that also people get informed that there's a place for people living with HIV in our congregation, and we don't have to speak openly about it. They could have maybe opened to one person, maybe to one of the leaders, to the counselors in our congregations, in our churches. But we do not need to talk about it openly. And if the church gets this awareness that HIV cannot even be transmitted by sitting in the same pew or singing a hymn next to someone with HIV, or shaking hands and giving them a hug. So the creating awareness in our churches will help reduce the stigma in church, and will even attract more people to come. And I think I can testify that we have been able to achieve that in our centers. Because they have been able, we have quite about 10,000 salvations so far in our different centers, and we integrate them to the church, and the church is able to plan discipleship sessions. They're able to follow them up, and they've been able to embrace them so that they don't, after the program, they don't go outside the church and backslide, but they continue following them up and supporting them. So let's create the awareness in our churches.
we definitely need that. And there is something you mentioned while we were on break, and I would love for us to bring it in, because even yesterday, looking at the newspapers and the numbers that they were giving, we get to understand that still we have a very big percentage of children and teens who are HIV positive, and some of them have been born with the infection and all that. So even in the Untold organization, maybe talk to us about how now you're able to reach out to those who are not grown-ups, but now they're trying to navigate through coming to terms with their status at such a young age.
In Untold, we have what we call an AYP program. That's the Adolescent and Young People program. And I think Untold started in 2008, but our AYP program started in 2020, when we saw that the numbers for the young people are actually going up. And our program was tailor-made to follow up the adult clients. And when they started coming in as part of the clients, like 5 here, 10 there, and you're like, no, our follow-up is adult focused, and it is not working for this population. So we created a program for the young people where we are able to tailor-make activities for them. We are able to put them in their own groups, because you can imagine 18-year-old seated with a 45-year-old, they won't open about their challenges. They'll be like, that's like my mother. They're going to wonder, what kind of a person am I when I discuss the challenges I'm going through? And they are facing challenges. And especially now when the disclosure is complete, when they're coming in their early teenagehood, because complete disclosure comes by around 12 years. So that's the time they have the full disclosure, and they are trying to navigate life. There's a teenage crisis, there's a pressure and all that. So they are going through a lot. And we are able to give them customized counseling for them. We also give them activities that are tailor-made for them. And this will be like camps, or we take them for sports, and then we would have sessions in the field. We'll talk to them. And when they come together in camps, put them in groups, show them movies that are relevant and educational for them, so that they know how do they navigate life. Because lecturing them again, the span of concentration for a whole session goes. But these are an age group that currently they have embraced social media. So again, you have to look at messages. How do you tailor-make them? And with that, then we are going to ensure that they are able also to make the right decisions. Because when you listen to them, these are people that sometimes, even in school, when somebody sees their medication and they're like, why do you always take medication? And they also face stigma. And sometimes they are also angry, because some of them even got HIV from gender-based violence. Because you have, again, to be very careful. When you leave your children, who are you leaving them with? Who is in that community? Who is responsible for them? You know, sometimes as parents, we take our children to visit our friends, but we are not looking at the community that is looking at them. So when they come and they share the experiences they are going through, some they have not even talked to anyone, especially the violence they have faced, and we are able to embrace them and give them the hospital referrals, the legal referrals, so that again, some you have to remove from that toxic environment, so that you can support them. And this has been very helpful. So sometimes I would say the society, we need to look at these young people. And sometimes we think the current generation is too hyper, but we need to listen to them.
Yeah.
It's very important as a guardian, because some are orphans, and as a parent, that whatever happens to your child, to your teenager, to your young girl or young man in their early 20s, they should be able to come back to you. They should not be in a position where I think my guardian or my parent will not understand me. But whatever happens to them out there, we should create a space where they can come back to the family and talk about it, and we give them support. If it means supporting them to get a HIV test, we do that. If it means they're already positive, we need to support them through the stigma maybe they're facing from their peers, and they ensure they're taking the right medication. We need to do that. So create that space for them and show them love.
Yeah.
You have mentioned it before, and we are talking about support system and how the Untold organization offers that support to HIV positive persons. How important is it also for the said individuals to belong to a community, a support group, so that also they are assisted in this journey? And also, how does Untold come in and offer that support to those groups?
Untold, we offer what we call a holistic approach. So when we get people who are living with HIV and AIDS, we have the individualized counseling sessions, and then we also group them in groups of 20, where they can come and speak about their experiences. And then we are able, when they come in, we are able to look at how each person came in, what are their needs, so that when you go to the groups, we're able to know what are the needs in this group, and they're able to share their experiences. And we are also we are able to give them information as a group on what they need to do. And what we have seen by putting them in these groups is that they're able to know, I am not alone. There's someone, they even create friendships. I can talk to so-and-so who has gone ahead of me. I can relate with so-and-so, and they become even very good friends. And this has helped them to feel they can easily be embraced by the community around them, and they are able now to live to their potential. Maybe not everybody in the community will know their status, but they'll know there's someone in this community who appreciates and whom I can work with. Interestingly is that we take the most vulnerable in our organization, those that are very sick, they're bedridden, maybe the pregnant mothers, the breastfeeding mothers. Interestingly, there are those people who come and say, I would want to join your program, but I don't want the support for medication, I don't want the support with food because we give them food. I just want to have a group that I can belong. So they only come for the group sessions because they're able to relate with the people there, they can talk to them, and they're also learning from each other. And we create that space. In our 109 centers which are based in the church, we have a spiritual counselor who's a pastor for them, and we have a health counselor who supports with their health needs. And the both of them offer the psychological counseling, the individualized counseling. They visit them at home to see what's the status at home and how are they being treated. And you're able to know, I think we need to support this client so that the family can embrace them. Because, sometimes as Africans, when you're told you're going somewhere, you put your best self, and when you go, you're not able to express everything. But when we visit them at home, then you're able to get the clear picture, the environment this person is living in. Because someone may not tell you that I get emotional torture, but when you go and you see them, how they're being handled, how people are talking to them, you're able to know, I think this client needs support in this area. So the groups have been very helpful. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think it's important for us to also talk about some of the success stories with, Untold. I believe it's always a beautiful moment when we can testify
Yes.
of the goodness of God. So maybe you can just give us some highlights of some success stories of people who have gone through the programs.
One of the success, let me start with the success as an organization. We've been able to reach out to people who had lost hope. And I said we had 10,000 salvations. And some of them are Muslims.
Wow.
Actually, we have a success last year, but one. We actually had a witch doctor in one of our centers.
Wow.
And they gave their lives to Christ.
Oh my.
So when we see that the gospel is going out there and people are embracing it, because there is hope beyond this life,
Yes.
there's something they can look up to,
Yes.
then we are able to know these people are going now to live beyond this world. They have a hope in God and they are going to live a better life. The other thing is that some of the successes also we have seen is I know of a client actually that is Lizent who was living in an abusive relationship, and it's because this mother had children. They didn't have any source of income, and the reason they were sticking in that relationship is because the husband is the sole provider. So they had to keep up with the beating, the abuse, and we are able to take them through our sessions. And we even did the referrals that are required because they need to report these things so that they can get also the legal support that they need. And she was able to start her own small business because she's not able to, it's not yet grown, but she started a small business and she's able to pay rent and support her children.
Wow.
And right now they are separated because the husband also is going through also follow-up so that we see if he can change, and hopefully we take them back together because that is what we believe in.
Wow.
And I can talk about success stories all day. We've had people who are bedridden, who had been put aside by their families, and we follow them up. They were able to start their own businesses, and shockingly the people who are looking down on them now are depending on them to support them. That's a huge success.
Very good.
Let's talk about the current trends, HIV trends, especially among the youth, and how Untold Kenya is helping with the same.
Currently we are having the biggest percentage of HIV infections being between the 15 and the 34-year-olds.
15.
Yes.
34.
Yes. And that means our children in school, our young adults, and the people who have just started life. And how we've come in as Untold is we are creating awareness in our communities because it's until people make decisions individually to know their status, and those that know their status, they make decisions on what do I need to do. So how best we are doing this, we go to churches, we go to groups. We have partnerships with different organizations, and we create awareness about HIV. People need to get information. I don't think there'll be an overload of this information. Then the other thing we are doing is that the people that we are following them up, we work closely with hospitals, and we ensure that everybody that we are following up is linked to a facility, because taking ARVs is one of the ways to reduce in the number of new infections, because once people who are HIV positive, they take their medication very well, we are very sure the wives or the husbands who are HIV negative, the transmission rate will be very low. And we are sure that there's going to be now that social support. Then we also do the one-on-one counseling and the couple counselings. We have discordant people in our programs. We also follow them up, and we are able to go to families and tell them, bring referrals. And then we may not be doing the testing, but we link you up to get someone to test you. So we support them facilities to come and do testings, for our clients, for the discordant couples, for the children, so that we ensure they are getting the support.
Yes.
And also, sometimes you'll find people shy away from going to facilities because they cannot afford. So as an organization, we are able to support them in paying for some bills when they go to the hospital. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I love how all-round Untold organization is, like, touches on so many areas. And I think maybe we can talk about also the area of mental health, which we definitely cannot put aside. And in combination with that, talk about the psychological trauma that sometimes is involved, and how even Untold as an organization comes in to help those who are infected.
Yeah, mental health is real. Especially for the people who are living with HIV and AIDS, because of the stigma they are going through, and also the question of, there's this promise that sometime there'll be a cure. There's always the revolutionization that now there are new drugs. When is the cure going to come? And then you hear people like researching in Google and all that. There's a cure in somewhere. When is it going to reach us? So sometimes you'll find that people who are living with HIV, they go through a lot trying to think, when is this journey going to come to an end? And one of the things we try to counsel them is that look at HIV like any chronic illness. People who have hypertension, they're living with medication. People who have diabetes, they're living with their medication. There are so many chronic infections that people are taking medication today. And it's not that HIV is special, but you just need to take your medication at the right time, with the thought in mind that I have to care for the person I'm living with, so that because HIV is transmissible. So, but it's not any unique from any other chronic medication. Then the other thing is that we sometimes you get people having mental health either because of what they are going through, or because of the HIV medication itself. Because some of the medication, and I think that is what sometimes it's phased out from the system. It can cause some mental instability. So sometimes you need to know what is the actual cause, so that if it's the medication, you're able to refer them to get a change in their medication or the support they need from the facilities. If it's what they are going through, we do the one-on-one counseling. And then we need to do the correct referrals to psychologists, to psychiatric hospitals. So we have to have partnerships all around, so that we know how are we going to support our clients. So with this, it comes with also capacity building our staff, so that they're able to differentiate what's the relevant referral for each individual client. And I think our learning and development department ensures we are always learning on the new things. So we are able to support the clients and give the correct referrals.
Lots of feedback as well coming in. Thank you so very much for the same. Josephine Nagita, good job. Sir Moses, great job. Janet, Mercy Abud, may God bless this organization, bringing back hope. Thank you so much. Sinaida Carl, thanks Hope for this chance given to Untold. Big up to Janet. David Tirike, learning a lot from our great guest, Dr. Janet. Knowledge is power. I also see Celestine, who is watching and learning a lot. John Care, great, learning a lot from you, Daktari. And then I see Eunice, who is also saying, great conversation. Please ask Daktari where Untold organization is located, even as we bring our conversation to a close.
As I had mentioned earlier, Untold is in 4 countries now. That is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and South Africa. So in Kenya, we are in Kisumu, Homa Bay, Mombasa, Kilifi, and we are also in Nairobi. So Nairobi, it's not the geographical Nairobi, because we have different regions in Nairobi. That is Nairobi East, Nairobi West, and Nairobi South. And that they go as far as Thika. We're in Nairobi, then we're also in Kajiado, we're in Machakos, but they're still part of Nairobi. But any slum you can mention here, we are in Dadora, we're in Kibera, we're in Ruiru, we are in different parts. I would say if they want to reach out to us, they can go to our website, www.untold.org, or I'm not sure now which line to give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they can reach out to us or even go to Instagram at Untold, Facebook at Untold, and they can. Let me give out my email address. I think that's easier than a line.
Yeah.
Janet.Manyara
Okay.
at untoldglobal.org. Yes.
Amazing. And who gets to be part of Untold? If maybe someone has been listening and they're wondering, okay, what are the qualities, or what do I have to do in order to just be part of this organization? How can they be part of it?
Number one is supporting the people in the community where you are. If you know an individual,
Yes.
either a friend, a family member who are living HIV positive, if you can support us in supporting that one person and bringing hope to them, embracing them, that is the number one support, because we believe in embracing these people.
Yes.
Then number two is reaching out to us. If you go to most of the health facilities, especially in Nairobi, they know about Untold.
Yeah.
Or if you go to our social media platform, you can drop something there and you can see how best you can come and support Untold.
All right.
Yes.
Right.
But the person next to you,
Yeah.
love them, embrace them, give them hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Dr. Janet, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for sharing all that wisdom with us this morning. We are better
You're
equipped
welcome.
now.
Absolutely.
So those who are infected, even those who are negative, I know now with this journey ahead, we are well equipped as well. So thank you so very much, and the fantastic job that you are doing at Untold organization. Continue with the good work that you are doing right there.
Yeah.
Zablon Chakaya, wonderful discussion. Thank you. And thank you to our viewers this morning. So many of them, and appreciating also the good work that you are doing at Untold organization. This is a conversation that so many should be listening to. And so on YouTube, you can share that link with a loved one, with a friend, with a group, so that as many people as possible can be able to get this information as well. We are talking about beyond the HIV status, you know, and there is life even after the report that you are HIV positive. So we are here to keep hope alive, and thank you so very much for that. God willing, we do this again tomorrow morning, same time, same place. We're wishing you a blessed and a fruitful day ahead. My name is George Gisholo.
Amazing. And my name is Beatrice Nudi. Thank you so much for joining us this day. My biggest takeaway is, if you want to actually be part of Untold, before you even reach out to them, support the person that is next to you. In doing that, then we are indeed fulfilling the mission and the purpose for which Untold is about, even in our little ways, in the areas that God has allocated us. So do what you can to support that person. Don't let them feel as though it's a death sentence, but remind them that there is hope. And if you can introduce a sister or a brother to Christ, the better, because now they have an anchor that can never be shaken. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Do have yourselves an amazing day ahead.